Hello, everybody. Welcome to Astro Chats. Give me just a second. Just need to make sure I have everything all set up. Okay, I think that we can start. I'm a little bit late, but I'm not really surprised. So, happy full moon, happy lunar eclipse. I don't know if you can say happy to both of those things, but ultimately, happy eclipse season, happy full moon. The energy is very high right now. It is a full moon in Taurus, actually. So, I'm going to get started with hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. We are going to start with a chart of the moment. So just a reading of what's going on in the cosmos right now. And then we're going to go into a card pull for each of the signs. We're going to start with Aries this time. Hi, Marcus. Hello. We're going to start with Aries as per usual this time. But first, I just wanted to bring up the chart of the moment. I've learned a little bit since my last little recording when I looked at it again in terms of having the chart in actual view of the camera. So I'll just make sure I do that. Next time I will have a camera on this and on me so that, you know, we can have both things going on at the same time. So anyways, let's get started with the chart of the moment. We have a different type of threesome than we had last. Well, new moon was when we last did this chat. So we have the sun is in Scorpio, but it is also joined by both Mercury and Venus. So they're all within a couple of degrees of each other, conjunct in the sign of Scorpio, which is what our current season is right now. So Scorpio season. Now, because we are in a lunar eclipse, that means that the moon, instead of being in conjunction with the sun, it is now opposing the sun. So you have the moon right here and you have the sun right here, and they're actually in opposite signs included in that. So as I said before, Scorpio and Tauruses love each other a lot just because we are opposing signs. And so you have Uranus and the moon in conjunct in Taurus right here, just making sure both screens can see. And they are both opposing the sun and this little trifecta here. So I took a little look at one of my favorite astrologers, Lada, today, and she had a little bit of a reading from a perspective that this is a T-square, and it's a challenging T-square because it's dealing with things that Taurus and Scorpio deal with. And so Taurus deals with personal wealth and finances and money. And Scorpio deals with contracts and, you know, other people's money. And so in this kind of T-square, there can be possibilities of upheaval when it comes to finances, but that can be positive or negative. It just means that there's going to be some sort of change. I think I mentioned this before that, you know, when you think about new moons or full moons, they're not a good time to do magic, let's say. They're a good time to start something, or they're like bookends to anything where you're finishing something or starting something. So new moons are usually something when you're going to start something, and then this full moon now, any kind of seeds that you laid, what was it, October 25th when I first did your readings, they should kind of come into fruition now. However, the energies of this moon, because of Uranus, which is a wild card, if you take a look at my Astro Chat, I did a little reading about my dog Wolfie, and if he was Wolfgang Mozart in a past life. And what I found out with Mozart is that he was actually ruled by Uranus right here, and Uranus is the wild card of the zodiac. It rules Aquarius, and it's all about like the mad scientists and breaking barriers. So if you think about the energies of that opposing the sun, that's going to kind of push and pull the energies in a way that you won't be able to predict. So the only thing predictable about this eclipse is that it's going to be unpredictable. That's the thing to take away from it. And I think just be ready for any kind of sudden changes, especially as it comes to the finance department. And I wouldn't do anything risky right now, really, because you can't bank on anything or depend on anything. And as well, Mars is in retrograde as of Halloween until January 31st. So that being said, I'm going to go into the readings for this full moon, this eclipse, because we are now in the waning phase of the moon's energies. We're going now like down slowly in energies, and that doesn't mean like loss in energy. It just means that you may be a bit more introspective. You may look at the fact that you did or did not achieve certain goals in this particular stretch of what you set out to do in the new moon, or what have you, or maybe you did. It's a good time to reflect on anything in that kind of case. This moon is also known as the mournful moon. It sounds sad, but in Native American cultures, it's also known as the beaver moon. It's like when you have to lay all your traps. So it's about being prepared for the winter that's coming. And so being aware of the cycle of changes, and not, instead of fighting against that change, we are aware of our place within it. And so this is a good time for us to just prepare for that upcoming winter. And so with this trine, this is actually a very powerful trine. I know that everyone's like, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff over here that's opposing it and those energies. And it's a blood moon. It's a blood moon, but it's a Taurus full moon though. And my hubby was born with that moon. And so I have a soft spot for that. But in terms of this, you have Mercury, the planet of communication, and Venus, the planet of love and beauty, all with the sun in terms of what's going to be represented right now. So I would say that those creative and communication endeavors, keep those channels open, but also just be aware that there's a lot of tumultuous changes. And with the moon here opposing, you will find that you may go between feeling really stable and really like intense a lot. Yeah, Scorpio tends to hold on to grudges. And so I think a good learning lesson of this placement is also for anyone who likes to hold on to grudges, maybe just let that shit go, right? All right, so let's get into the readings. I'm just going to adjust this camera slightly so we can see. We're going to start with Aries. And we're going to do a 2-card pull. The first card is going to be just like the main card, and then the next card will be just to clarify that reading. Just because, and I was looking at my last video and I never explained why I would do a 2-card pull. The reason why you do a 2-card pull is because you're not always going to get the major arcana. You could get, the major one and then a minor one, or you get 2 minor ones. But if you pull a card that's just a minor arcana on its own, sometimes it doesn't have enough weight or meanings behind it for you to pull a full reading from. And so, as said before, when you're using any type of magical tool, it's the intention that you're bringing to it. So just leave it at that, say. Okay, so Aries, we're starting with you. I'm going to point that out on the wheel just so we can all be, what do I call it, astrologically literate. So Aries is right here, our little ram. Planets that we have going on right now in terms of Aries is that Jupiter is actually cusping. It's not in Aries just yet, but it's in Pisces, very close to Aries right now. So we're going to start with you, Aries. 2-card pull for the lunar eclipse and full moon in Taurus for how we're going to approach the waning part of this lunar cycle, right? So we've got Temperance and the Page of Wands. And so I'm just going to show these cards off. And then what I'm going to do in the edit this time is hopefully just have the cards from the Shadowscapes deck in like a little box on the side, showing that off as well. So we've got the Page of Wands, right? That. So, both of those items. Hey. Oh my gosh. Waving all this stuff. So Aries, we have the Page of Wands and Temperance for the waning part of the lunar cycle. Temperance card is known as the alchemical card because if you look here, you've got her approaching like the different elements and alchemizing it together, right? And also the idea of taking coal and turning into gold. So taking any kind of like material and through like blood, sweat, and tears, you turn that into something substantial and something of value. So, you know, any kind of artist where you take your pain and you turn that into perhaps something creative, and that alchemizes it. You create something new. With the Page of Wands here, the Wands card is associated with fire signs, as mentioned before, in terms of like element. Oh my gosh, what's going on? I think I'm back. I don't know what's going on. It's like the tech, it's the full moon, right? So I guess that's okay. I think we're back. We're back. Okay. Anyways, we have Taurus. That was super eerie. We have the World, which is a very powerful card. It represents Gaia, Mother Earth, all of that kind of good stuff. And we have the Knight of Cups. And so I'm just going to show that off here, as well as here. And I wanted to play some music actually while I was pouring on it. And the king, was he the king, the queen, the knight, all of these kind of suits, they can represent particular energies in your life. So as it comes to this Taurus, we have the World card, which represents Mama Gaia, remember Mother Earth herself, and the Knight of Cups. And this is so much better than what we had last time for the new moon Taurus, where there was a lot of challenge. And so with this full moon, this is more about release. And I think if there's anything holding on, like what I was saying about grudges before, that Scorpio tends to be, hi Manor, Scorpio tends to be a sign that holds on to old grudges. And so we can find that full moons, as mentioned before, are a time to let go of things that no longer serve us, the patterns that no longer serve us. And in this case, taking this reading very personally, because I'm also a Taurus, but the World card is accumulation of things. It means like coming full circle. It's the end of the major arcana and moving on into, you know, the actual actions of doing things. And so I think it's a matter of the realization of ensuring that you're living accordance to what your mission is here on this life, and staying true to your emotions when doing so. The cups are all about the inner world, the emotions. The cups are related to water signs and the idea of feeling malleable and able to hold on to that energy. And so these together are definitely a much more gentle reading for the full moon and the lunar eclipse. So it is, I think, a good time to fully express just letting go. And it is the accumulation or the end of a cycle and the birth of something new as a result. So that's good news. So as this waning cycle goes on, Taurus, I think it's a good time to kind of regenerate, rest, replenish, and get ready to fully express what you're meant to do in this lifetime. So much better in terms of that. Okay, so next we've got Gemini. We're going to do a 2-card pull. We have the Devil and the 6 of Wands. So first of all, let's show off the cards before I forget. And so Gemini, let's also just see what's going on in terms of like action in Gemini in the chart of the moment. I think I shifted this a little bit. So we just passed Taurus. We're now in Gemini right here. And Mars is currently in Gemini. Mars is retrograding. So as I said, in terms of what that means, Mars retrograding, any drive forward, any action forward, it's when I feel like walking through quicksand. But Gemini in terms of communication, it's a matter of taking care before expressing yourself, just taking that moment, taking that breath before you send that email, before you press send. But Gemini, specifically for you, for this lunar cycle, in terms of the full moon, as we hit the waning phase, we have the Six of Wands and we have the Devil card. And what does that mean? The Devil card is that it's kind of ironic that Mars is in retrograde and we have the Devil card to work with, because the Devil card's not supposed to be a negative thing. It's more about the drive to get things done. Now, as mentioned before, and I think in like previous podcasts, when I talk about like warrior energy and warrior goddess energy, any kind of that kind of standing up for what you believe in and all of that, the Devil can help get that done, ironically enough. But it's just also to be aware of the cost of any victory, right? So just to be aware of the shadow side when it comes to achieving your goals, ensuring that you're not stomping on other people as you're doing that, because the universe doesn't like that. And then we've got the Six of Wands along with it. And so this is actually a good blessing. You'll find in tarot, they'll say that, and this is why I said I do a 2-card pull, because sometimes cards are dependent on the other energies around them, kind of like us. So in terms of this is a card of triumph. This is a great, very positive card. 6 is a great number. And so Gemini, as it comes to you for this coming lunar eclipse, as we say that it's a bookend, it's a start of something new. It's a good time to let go of things that no longer serve you. There's that drive, that energy to be able to do that. And we do have the champion here standing atop very triumphantly with this full circle. And so full moon, it is the energy to be able to, the drive forward to get ish done. If you've been feeling lethargic lately, you should be able to turn that around in like the next cycle and express yourself fully. Gemini, let's do it. Except financial stuff, I would say, like across the board for all signs, to kind of like don't take any financial risks right now. The cards, the placements aren't really great for that. It's more about reconnecting to your own like self-worth and inner value, as opposed to trying to find that externally right now, even though like those things can sometimes be related. Anyways, next we've got Cancer. So following Gemini, we don't have anything going on in Cancer right now. I think Black Moon Lilith is situated in Cancer. That is what represents like the dark side of the moon, her placement. So she's in Cancer right now. I'm not going to get into what that means. But for our Cancers right now, we have, I don't know if I've ever pulled this card before, in terms of the King of Wands. He's very handsome. So Cancer, you have the King of Wands, followed by the Four of Cups. Ooh, I like this. It's very dreamy. Yes, this is the one where 4 is also a favorable number. It's less challenging, like 5 or 3 or swords in that case. But anyways, going off on a tangent, this is all about this mermaid is looking into her reflection and checking out. If you think about water and what it represents symbolically, it can mean either past memories, it can be a self-reflection of your deeper emotional states, it can be the thought of past selves or past lifetimes that have been lived through Cancer. So in this case, as we think of the fact that Mars is retrograde and there's a lot of tumultuous change in the consciousness and a lot of uncertainty that Uranus is kind of bringing to the table, we do have this King of Wands, this really champion solar light idea. Cancer is ruled by the moon, so having the King of Wands to balance and protect that feminine energy in this time, I think is going to be a theme for you, Cancer. Even if perhaps you have gone through something where there's been a breakup, I know that there's been a season of coming apart, there's been separation where there needed to be. But in this sense, I think, well, even if you're a male, though, I think the King of Wands, if you're a male Cancer, it still is going to represent a father figure or any kind of authority figure that's going to come in and champion your cause. And from this perspective, it's going to be a memory. It's going to be perhaps something in your past that you maybe haven't thought of in a while. So Cancer, I would say, take a look into your dreams. Neptune is still doing its thing. It's in Pisces, right? Neptune's in Pisces. Double check that. Check my chart. Neptune's in Pisces, which is very much a dreamlike place for an already dreamy planet to be in. And so from those dreams, you will have a champion or a hero. And you know what? That could also mean the male energy within yourself, Cancer. And also if you're a guy, it could just be you. You could be just your own hero in your own story, Cancer. So that's my reading for you for the full moon and lunar eclipse and how to deal with that, Cancer. So we've got next Leo. Yes, I love my Leos. Our other fixed sign energy. Just going to pull this out. We've got 2-card pull, the Knight of Wands, followed by the 2 of Cups. I love the 2 of Cups. Ooh, this is like partnership and love in terms of 2 of Cups. So Leo, we have the 2 of Cups. Yeah, I'm going to make sure that I have a little separate box to show these cards off as I do the entire reading for every sign in the replay. But we also have the Knight of Wands. Look at this fella on his like mythical beast to go out to battle with his foxes there to help him out. So what does this mean for you, Leo? 2 of Cups is all about the power of partnership and the power of love and what is possible in terms of growth through sharing emotional intimacy with another being. And that can be in more ways than simply, traditional love relationships, although that's definitely in the cards, literally for you, Leo, that kind of love over the next lunar waning cycle until the new moon. But as I said, love from a partnership perspective can come in many other forms, like, sisters, brothers, any kind of intimate relationship, because cups are about emotional depth and holding onto that. And when it comes to 2 of Cups, it's about, sharing cups, sharing stories with each other, developing intimacy in that way. And with the Knight of Wands here, in sharing stories of past triumphs, we can inspire each other. And so, Leo, I think what this is saying to me is that any past victories that you've had, sharing those stories in an intimate kind of setting with a trusted type of person is something that would bring fulfillment in this next lunar cycle. But definitely there's going to be a focus on a twosome type of partnership. And as I said, like, can be love relationship, but can also be, a very close, intimate partnership. All right, that's my reading for you, Leo. Next, we have Virgo. Gosh, yes. I feel like I'm still working on right now, actually, little side note on my presentation just about the rising or ascendant sign and why. That's why astrologers will ask, like, for your birth time, right? Because, your rising sign sets up your whole rest of your birth chart, and you can kind of see that on this chart where you see the housing systems and how they line up. And so for you personally, your houses line up to different signs, and that's unique to you. And that's why you would have an astrologer run your chart for you, because then you can figure out what those placements mean to you and how those interact with the chart of the moment. Okay, so now Virgos. I always tell this story about Virgos, but I was a project manager on a PMO team, and on that PMO team, we were half Tauruses and we were half Virgos because we love checklists. We love being practical, getting stuff done. I had a few Virgo friends growing up, and they're notorious perfectionists. So for you, Virgo, from the full moon, in terms of the fruits of your labor, the big changes that are coming, fixed signs don't like dramatic changes that come out of nowhere. So any kind of changes that are happening, regardless of good or bad, Virgo, I know like you're not a fixed sign, but you're an earth sign, and that's still, you're earthy. And so if things move too quickly, it's still going to feel very, whoa. So in terms of your reading, we have the 8 of Wands and the 3 of Cups. Okay, so Virgos, I love, we're getting much better readings this time, so that's good. So 3 of Cups. 3 is a very powerful magic number, like that triple goddess energy, all the stages of life. And you can see here, you also have the triple goddess energy going on, Virgo. Virgo is also the Virgin, so this also empowers that endeavor. And we have the 8 of Wands, and it's about spreading seeds. So remember what I said about the full moon and the eclipse, and this is also known as the morning moon, the beaver moon to the Native Americans, the time to, well, you could it's sowing your seeds so that later you can derive those fruits. So this is the last eclipse of the year. It's the last, that it's a signal of a start. So for you, Virgo, the 8 of Wands definitely here is saying if you've been waiting to push a button or something, or to press start on something, you should do it now. Like, this is the time. Even though Mars is retrograde for you, Virgo, I think if there's something like if any so-called sudden change to you is not actually a sudden change, you would have had to have planned it meticulously to wait for timing. And so this is just saying like this, the timing is right. And you also have, goddess blessings when it comes to that. And as I said, Venus is still in that threesome with the Sun and Mercury. And so any kind of the true, the good, and the beautiful, any type of endeavors such as those are going to be blessed. And so for you, Virgo, it's time to push the button. You have blessings from the universe when it comes to those creative endeavors, when your truth is aligned with the truth of the universe, right? Okay, so next, after Virgo, we have Libra. Of course, we have Libra. And so I've been doing a little bit of research into the origins or the history of weightlifting and bodybuilding and fitness and all that kind of stuff, because I've of course I'm just going back into training people again. And so as a result, I wanted to bring my mythos back into it, because after all, the bodybuilding show is called the Olympia, so it does have origins in Greek myth. And Virgo is also apparently ruled by Chiron. I'll get into that a little bit later. But Chiron also is known as the wounded healer. He's also a centaur who was like Hercules' trainer. And they also say that the 12 labors of Hercules line up with the 12 signs of the zodiac. I'm probably going to do something on how that works out. Oh my gosh, a little bit later. Some stuff popped out. Oh my gosh, 2 cards popped out. That's so crazy. All right, that was for Libra. I guess I was just like, the universe being like, okay, stop talking. We've got the Sun. Wow, that's amazing that popped out. That's a beautiful card. The Sun's the solar energy, and especially since we're dealing with a lunar eclipse. A full moon's usually when the moon receives like the full illumination from the sun, and so now with the eclipse, the Earth's kind of in the way. So we're like in the way of that energy. It's like coming onto us instead. So terms of that, Libra, we'll put that aside for now. We've also got the Page of Pentacles. And Pentacles are all about those earth signs. And Libra and Taurus are both ruled by Venus. I tell Kevin that like Libra is more of like the higher mind Venus, so the more idealistic view, as opposed to like the earthy, in the body, more Taurus view of Venus. But from this perspective, we have the owl here of wisdom. The Page of Pentacles does represent youthful energy. And so I would look at this as for you, Libra, to take a look at have a conversation with yourself at, let's say, the age of like 18, when you're just about to become an adult, and think about how you were expressing yourself at that time, and like what you wanted to be, when you grew up. And this is a good time to see if those two things make sense together. Now, it may be that you can say to 18-year-old you know what? I've come a long way, baby, and I don't really subscribe to the dreams that I had when I was 18 anymore. And I have new dreams that I want to follow, with what I'm doing with my days in the sunshine. But if they very well may be that the sun will illuminate something that has been long forgotten, that you used to value when in your youth, but only just needs for you to revisit or remember that again. So that's a reading for you, Libra. You have the Sun and the Page of Pentacles. For the full moon and the lunar eclipse in Taurus, opposing Scorpio, of course. So next, we've got, I always forget what happens after. It's Scorpio. We're now in Scorpio. I started in Scorpio last time, or I started where we were. So we're now on the tail end of the zodiac. And for you, Scorpio, we've got the Hermit and the Five of Swords. So I've got the Hermit and the Five of Swords. So swords are a bit more of a challenging card, but Scorpio, you're no stranger to stepping up to the challenge. So in terms of the Hermit, remember I said about introspective? So this is just a sign in terms of like the waning cycle of the moon after this eclipse, the sign of change before making any changes, because change is going to happen regardless. The Hermit is just a sign to stay more introspective, Scorpio, which like I don't feel like is like a hard thing for you to do when you want to. Here we also have the Five of Swords. I have to double check. I'm going to probably add more meanings to this to the follow-up video, but when it comes to here, remember swords also have a double-edged sword. This has an angel and a force forward with two birds also carrying swords. So definitely a movement. Where are the other two swords? Does he have two? That's three. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll have to look at this card specifically. But 5 comes with it a call to arms, regardless of the number of swords in this specific card or not, if I can't see it. The Hermit, and this is these are very like conflicting energies that are coming up right now with the full moon. It kind of is expressing what's actually going on in the chart with Scorpio and Taurus right now, which is kind of funny. This idea of a call to arms, a call to fully express your mission fully here, Scorpio. And but that's also pushing against this idea that, oh, I just kind of want to like stay home and like work on myself. This is saying you do need to do that, but maybe there's a way to incorporate so that you're ready, because the call to arms is there. I think we all hear it though too. And it's a call to be functioning in at your highest and at your best self. So that is my reading for you, Scorpio. I think that's, you're gonna have to listen to your heart and listen to your dreams in terms of taking action. The call is there, but in terms of specific actions that you want to take, because Mars is in retrograde and you got that Hermit card, I would say, Scorpio, if you want, I wouldn't make any sudden, if you're iffy about a decision, Scorpio, I would wait on it as much as you can until the end of Jan. I did that, actually, some of my projects. Okay, so actually, I'm not going to look at this yet. Hold on. After Scorpio, we've got Sagittarius. I remember that. So Sagittarius, we've got Four of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles. So I'm just going to show that off. We got the Ace of Pentacles. These cards are so pretty. And the Four of Swords. So more, it's always like the more challenging cards come later. So that's how I read things. We'll see. Card, even though swords, when it comes to tarot, as I said, double-edged sword, where there comes, knowledge or goals or some, because even if you think like Odin, that whole myth that he gave up his eye for knowledge. And so this idea of you to get something, it comes at sacrifice. In this case, not quite so much, but there's more of a meditation here in the sense of higher mind ideas, and Mercury being where it is, where the sun is when it comes to communication. There's going to be the ability to express yourself and be understood right now, Sagittarius, which is a good thing, because I think with Mars being retrograde in Gemini, the sign of communication, you can use all the help you can get to be fully understood, because you can't just hide away in a box and not talk to anybody. That's not the way things work. And Sagittarius, you are a go out there, very much like a well-traveled type of sign. And so as it comes to this full moon, and as it comes to changes that you want to make, and as it comes to things that you want to get rid of that no longer serve you, all of those things are going to be blessed. You also have the Ace of Pentacles. So as it comes to material wealth, there can be tumultuous changes ahead, but this is favorable when it comes to financial things, Sagittarius. So that's good when it comes to finances, and also from a perspective on meditation and getting your mind resilient and right for trying to achieve whatever goals that you will do when you've kind of like finally put the pedal to the metal and go full force. Okay, so that's for you, Sagittarius. Next, we've got Capricorn, Aquarius, and then Pisces. So Capricorn is next. We've got Seven of Swords. Oh, yeah, that's the challenge and tragedy and heartbreak. And then Ace of Wands. And that's the alchemy that we can kind of bring from it. So Capricorn, my Capricorn friends, we've got the Seven of Swords. So you're going to have to deal with a challenge on this waning lunar cycle that could be anything from a type of loss. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean monetary. It can also mean from a perspective of a relationship that is no longer serving you, or a job that is no longer something that's in alignment with what you're trying to do. You do have, as I said, the alchemy behind it, the Ace of Wands. You have the Ankh of Life here, held up by a bunch of little wolfy friends. And so even though there is a challenge here, it's a necessary challenge. You need to strip away those things that don't serve you, Capricorn, because that's what's needed for alchemy to come out the other side transformed. Pretty simple reading, even though it is a bit of a challenge. And I think that this is more of an acknowledgement of something that you're already going through, as opposed to something that is going to come as a result of the current astrological state of affairs, let's say. Okay, so next we've got Aquarius. Oopsies. Oh my gosh. I'm going to leave that out because that happened organically. We've got the Six of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands. So the Six of Pentacles right here and the Nine of Wands. And so this is for you, Aquarius. Aquarius, the Six of Pentacles is the one that kind of just popped out itself. So I'm going to read that out first. So I said Pentacles is monetary wealth. You can see this guy playing his, I don't know, like a lute of some sort, some magical lute. And it's causing these pentacles, these coins to fall out. So as I said, Venus doing its thing, her thing, meaning that creative endeavors are very blessed right now. And so add that to the fact that you have the Nine of Wands here, this idea of going on a journey in order to do that. So it is kind of saying that movement, a start of a journey forward is required for you, Aquarius. Now that can mean like inner journey. That can mean like you're going to go to like a different country, or you're going to start a new kind of lesson or school. It means like a signifier of something, an endeavor that's going to happen, a creative one that will provide monetary gain. So that's good. It could be like a new job. It could be a new love interest, anything. It's like this kind of like new energy, a new energy of creation that's happening right now with this card. And the fruits of that labor will be actually like value, actual value. So this can actually be, it doesn't have to be monetary. I shouldn't say that, because remember, wealth is not just material, tangible wealth like that. It can also be, you know, like no different than if you were to pick up a new skill. Like I want to pick up Kelly knife fighting, and if I was Capricorn, actually I could take this advice anyways. But if you're taking on a new martial arts kind of skill, and you have to have a start to it. That's that. And it's only after mastering it and experiencing and going through all of that, then you're going to get the fruits of what learning that will give you. And some of that may be monetary, right? Because maybe you'll end up being like a teacher, or you like whatever. But the true value of what you've learned is the fact that you now have the skills in you to, you know, kick someone's ass if you really need to, practically. Or, you know, like whatever it is, like how to craft something, anything like that. Okay, so finally, last but not least, before I end this wonderful astrology live chat, I'm going to repost this with the timestamps. Hopefully by tomorrow in the evening. I also have to film a few other things, but this, I think I have the editing process pretty much down. So for Pisces, finally, last but not least, Pisces friends, and next time I will not do this normally. I'm going to switch things up because I know what it's like being always the last called. So for you, Pisces, we've got the Knight of Wands. A lot of like fire, a lot of action for you. So the Pisces card in tarot is actually the Hermit. So then we get it. Okay, so Five of Wands, Pisces, and Knight of Wands. Now, Five of Wands here, it does look like there's a little bit of like confusion in terms of energy. So you may find that your energy feels scattered. But I think once you determine on a path forward, you're going to be all the better for it. Okay? Now, I think the key here is that just because energy feels scattered doesn't necessarily mean that all of the directions that you're being pulled in are wrong, right? Because that can sometimes be a thing of like, okay, it's scattered. It must mean that I'm not going to do anything, period, right? So that's not what this means. it does mean that you do have to like move with caution, but you do have the Knight of Wands, which is like the hero within yourself to take things forward. So Pisces, work through the scattered energy. The best way I find to kind of do that is to just have a talk with yourself, sit with yourself. I'm sure you do this. And then just be clear about like what it is you're trying to do. And once that's done, you can kind of move forward. Take as much time as you need. But for this next lunar cycle, I think it's about sorting through those energies and not to throw away all of them simply just because they're tied up in all of what you're trying to work through. Okay, I think we made it through the whole zodiac. So thank you everybody for joining me for this full moon. I hope you survived the eclipse. Now remember, the energies and the power of the eclipse can be felt for months, long after the actual eclipse happens. Oh, my broadcast changed. Okay. Very strange. Okay. Anyways, I had some strange technical difficulties again, which very odd timing of it. We'll get into that later. But thank you so much for joining me for this Astrology Chats live with a 2-card pull. The next live that I will be planning on doing will be for the new moon, which will be on, I believe it is November 23rd. So that's a Wednesday. And that will be a new moon. I will have the new moon, or sorry, the new calendar posted to my Welcome to Mushroom Land blog tonight. It kind of highlights when the next upcoming online events will be. So we've got the Soma Seminar, which will be the 22nd on Zoom, and we've got the new moon card pull, which will be the day after for that new moon. Kind of coincides well with our Soma supplement, which I will leave this video with a little plug for, and the fact that we have a code that you can use at checkout, full moon, for our lovely t-shirt, which I designed. Not this one, but the other one, where the message is race, human, politics, freedom, and religion is love. So with that message, I leave all of you this evening. Happy full moon blessings in Taurus, and use this lunar eclipse, this conduit for change, even emotional internal change, as a way to burn off things that no longer serve you and to step into the light and what you're